Okay, class, let's take a look and learn a little bit about contingency tables. This is how we're going to solve most of the problems that we deal with in our class for probability type problems. So it gives us one way to look at the probabilities and relationships. So here's an example. So suppose that 800 individuals participated in a market research study. They were asked about a particular product and a television advertisement for the product. Each participant indicated whether they had purchased the product, whether or not they'd recalled the ad. All right, so say, for example, that there was like a toaster. All right, we want to know how many people bought this toaster. And then we had this really awesome commercial about this toaster that we had some cool celebrity come on, and it was just sort of, we thought was pretty memorable, right? So we are either the company or perhaps we're the marketing department of the company, or perhaps we're like an ad agency who generated this commercial. All right, so we want to show that people who watched the commercial actually were more likely to purchase. I mean, that's sort of why we care about this kind of stuff. So we asked two questions in the survey. We asked, did you buy it or did you not buy it? And then we asked, do you remember this ad or do you not remember this ad? That's it. Those are the only two things we captured for every single person. And then we dumped it into like a pivot table. And here's our first question. Did you purchase this or not? And it was, we actually had 240 people who purchased it and 560 who did not. And then we also asked the same thing in the pivot table. We dropped up here the question, did you remember the ad or you didn't? Well, half the people, 400 people, remembered it, and half the people did not remember it. So there's a total of 800 total people. And then in the middle here, well, what are these? So in the middle here we have purchased and recalled the ad. Well, there's 160 people who both purchased it and recalled the ad. And then of those other people who purchased, there's 240, 80 of them don't recall the ad, right? Of the people who did not purchase, 560, 240 did not purchase, and 240 did not recall the ad and did recall the ad, and 320 did not recall the ad. Right, so that's it. So this is a contingency table. That's it. From this contingency table, we can calculate basically all the probabilities that we've talked about in this last video. All right, so let's come up with a couple different events. So we're going to say here, define R to be the event that an individual could recall the ad. So right here we say that's R. And so we would say that this does not recall something like R prime, right? The complement of R. And then we say B to be the event that she purchased it. So B like as in bought, I guess. And then here's B prime, did not buy. All right. So let's figure this out. What's the probability that someone recalled the ad? It's just a fraction. Remember, all probabilities are just fractions with numerator and denominators. So our numerator is, well, we recalled the ad. Let's see, there's 400 people. 400 people recalled the ad. That's the numerator. Out of how many total people? 800. That's it. So we could turn that into 0.50 or 50%. Great. Okay. That's all for that one. B, this has got a B bar, but it's the same thing as B prime. So this is someone who, what's the probability that someone did not purchase? Did not purchase? Well, I could do 1 minus the probability that someone did purchase, but actually that doesn't really matter. As far as the numbers here, it's not any harder, right? I could just say, well, how many people did not purchase? 560 total people did not purchase. That's my numerator. 560 did not. Out of how many total? 800 total. All right, so that's equals to 30%. Did I do this right? All right, sorry. So I had some older notes here that had instead of B prime, I had something else. But that's okay. So this is not 30%. 560. Let's see. 560 divided by 800. 70%. That's right. 70%. 0.70. 70%. All right. Here's a new guy. Probability of R and B. What does that mean? Probability that someone recalled the ad and bought it. Recalled the ad and bought it. All right, so we just have to have a numerator and denominator. So how many people both recalled the ad and bought it? Let's see, recalled the ad and bought it. So here's recalled the ad. Here's bought it. 160 people bought it. Recalled the ad and bought it. Okay, cool. 160 Out of how many? Well, out of everybody. Out of the whole 800. 160 out here, which is 20%. 0.20, 20%. All right, I'm going to change colors here. All right, our final guy here, and we're going to take a break. Probability that someone bought it, given, that's what this thing means, given that they recalled the ad. Given that they recalled the ad. So this is the one that we care about. If you recalled the ad, does it mean that you bought it more often than if you so we know here that on general, 30% of the people bought it, right? So we want to know is if you recalled the ad, was there a higher rate of buying it? So how do we figure this out? Given that you recalled the ad, what's the probability of buying it? So this is the beauty of the contingency tables. Actually, this one, remember, is called a conditional probability. This guy's a joint probability. All right, let's write those down. So this one, the ands are joint probabilities. Joint. The straight up and the givens are conditionals. Conditionals. You'll see all these ones up above here all had 800 as their numerator. As their denominator. But if you remember from our sort of other video, whenever we saw these givens, we essentially zoomed in on what happened. We know someone recalled the ad. That's what this means. So if we found someone off the street and said, "Hey, do you remember this ad?" and they said, "Yeah," then we can say, "What's the probability that they bought the product?" We know that they recalled the ad. Now, what's the probability they bought the product? So let's look up here. So here's the folks that recalled the ad right here. That's it. These 400, that's all. And in fact, we don't care about the whole 800 anymore because R happened. That's what the given R means, right? Given R means it does happen, in which case this is our new denominator. We've zoomed in. Conditional probability, we've zoomed in, and all we care about are what happens after the given, right? So here's our denominator. How many of those purchased? 160. So 160 over 400. That's it. It's not over 800 anymore. It's over 400. 160 over 400. Why is it 160? Well, because essentially what I like to try to do is physically hide this other stuff. It doesn't matter anymore, right? So I put my hand over it, right? I'm just like, I don't want to look at that anymore. In which case, I'm just saying, okay, here's purchased of the people who recalled recalled the ad. There's 400, 160 of them purchased. 160 over 400. That's it. Which is 40%. 40%. So that's awesome, right? So that means that, so this is B prime, right? So if I want to do the probability, the probability of B, it's just 30%, right? How do I know that? Well, if 70% didn't buy it, then 30% did buy it. But if you'd recall the ad, 40% bought, right? So we have a 10 percentage point increase, right? If you recall the ad. So that's a good thing. All right, we're going to stop right there.